All right, fellas, so this machine has over 500 miles on it now, and the Suzuki's got over 400 miles on it. So let's just call this, for the sake of argument, a 500-mile update. So we've had these machines off-road, obviously, many times. We've put some miles on them. We've had camping trips, and we've lived with these machines. We've done some work with them. So here's what I've kind of noticed between the two. So let's kind of start here with the Can-Am. So one of the things about the Can-Am being a V-twin is that it loves fuel. So this thing will go through a tank of gas quicker than the Suzuki will, even though the tank size is about the same. This one seems to really love gasoline, and it makes sense because it's feeding 2 cylinders instead of 1. So you have to fill this one up more often. And when we go on our longer rides, like we're planning to go back to LBL and do some more riding here in a couple of weeks, that can be a little bit of a pain because you got to go back to the campsite and fill it up more often. Also, the body on this machine is just not put together very well. The way, and I think I talked about this before in the initial review, the way that the pieces fit together, the body plastics, I don't like it at all. He's already broken the floorboard down here. I don't know if the camera's picking that up or not, but this whole section here snapped and broke off. It's even cracked right here because all of these plastics are real brittle and flimsy. It's got a crack up here that you probably definitely can't see on the camera right now, but I'll get some close-ups here in just a little while on this stuff. All right, here's a close-up of the plastics. You can see how it's broken right here. And that probably happened either when we were installing the radiator removal and relocation kit, or when we were doing the first oil change on it. I can't remember, but you got to take all this stuff apart all the time, and it's pretty fragile. And the one that's super frustrating is the floorboard. I mean, we were just doing general normal riding, and I don't know if it was a rock or a stick or what, but it just popped up and completely destroyed the floorboard on this thing. So that's going to have to be replaced too. You know, for the money, you would think that they would do a little bit better job of assembling these things, first of all, so that you could get it apart to do service more easily, and second, so that it would hold up better. It's split up there also. I've talked about how you got to take a lot of the body apart just to get to the oil filter, which is incredibly stupid. So in general, I just hate the body on this machine, the plastics, the way it's put together, the engineering, the design, whatever you want to call it. I can't stand it. The wheels being alloy wheels, they got scratched all to pieces because, you got to think you're using these things off-road, right? So if you're going to ride these machines off-road, they're going to take some abuse, and the alloy wheels were getting gouged and scratched up real bad. They looked terrible. So he actually went through and cleaned them all a few weeks ago and detailed them, and then he hit them with some wheel paint, and they look pretty decent again now. But I haven't done that to the Suzuki, and it still looks decent. So the alloy versus steel wheels thing is, I guess it's kind of subjective. So the biggest difference, I guess, is that the Can-Am doesn't seem to be put together as nice. I mean, the power is there, it's got lots of power, but it drinks fuel, and the way it's put together, I just can't stand it. Now you can see that we did do a radiator relocation kit. This is from Lucky 7 Motorsports, and the reason that we did this is because the very first time we took the machine out, when it was brand new, it just overheated on us constantly. If you're riding trails that have mud on them, these Can-Ams can't stand it because that V-twin gets really hot anyway, and any mud and junk that gets in the radiator will cause this thing to overheat and go into limp mode just like that. And so the second day that we were riding, we had to stop constantly and splash water up on the radiator, try to clean it out a little bit. We had to take, a 30-minute break all the time so this thing would cool off. It just got really annoying. So we put this radiator relocate kit on it, which was a little bit of work. We had to do a little modification. The kit wasn't perfect, but it accomplished what we wanted to accomplish, which is that now he can ride this thing without it overheating. So we had to do that. I do like the power steering on this machine, and I think I talked about that in the initial review. The Can-Am does have better power steering. It just feels more solid, for lack of a better way to put it, and it also gives you more assist, and it's adjustable. You can put it on low, medium, or high. So I like the fact that it's adjustable, and I like the fact that it gives you a lot of assist. So if you're riding in the rocks or some really technical terrain, you can put it on high and it really gives you what you need. You can almost turn it with one hand. So I do like the power steering on it, and like I said, it sounds great. The V-twin engine sounds great. It's got a lot of power, but that's pretty much where my satisfaction ends on this thing. I'm paying out of my own pocket for both of them. I almost bought 2 Can-Ams originally, and I'm glad that I didn't, because honestly, I just don't like this machine. I just really don't. The value is just not really there. So yeah, those is kind of the overview on this, the things I don't like about it. And it's really a shame about this broken plastic over here. I guess we'll have to eventually, he wants to get some aftermarket parts. He says there's some really nice aluminum aftermarket floorboards that he can get for this. So maybe we'll go that route, because I'm sure the factory stuff is pretty expensive. Whereas on the Suzuki, every time we go riding, we're together. We're on the same trails, we ride the same terrain, we're always together. And you can see that there are no broken plastics at all on the Suzuki, because it's very flexible. It's a completely different material that they use for the floorboards and the fenders. Very flexible. I actually ripped this piece off trying to load it on the trailer the other day, and it didn't tear it up. So I was able to get some more of those push rivets and just put it back on. Just very durable. The way it's put together is so much nicer, and you can tell that the Japanese quality is there, right? I don't like the power steering on this machine though, because it feels like it doesn't even have power steering. You pay a lot of money for the power steering feature on these ATVs, and this one honestly feels exactly like a non-power steering ATV to me. I've ridden a lot of ATVs without power steering, and that's what this feels like, and that's really disappointing. I even went as far as to write a letter to Suzuki headquarters about it, because it's just so disappointing when you purposefully spend the money on a feature and then that feature is like non-existent. So if Suzuki is listening, please, please, please update the power steering. Funny thing about it is, they reported that a few years ago they went through and they updated the power steering on these machines. Supposedly, it's 20% stronger now than it used to be. I would hate to ride one of the older ones then, because this one just doesn't feel like it has power steering hardly at all. But other than that, this machine has been flawless. The power is great. Fuel economy is great. Zero problems with it. The fit and finish is awesome. I like the fact that it has a true differential lock, whereas the Can-Am doesn't. Although the Visco lock does work pretty good in most situations. Now, one problem that I've had with the Suzuki that's not really Suzuki's fault, I guess, is the tires. And to be fair, we've had some of the same issue with the tires on the Can-Am. These are the Trail Wolves, and these over here are the AT489s that you see on a lot of machines. And to be completely honest, both of these tires are junk. So I think 2 of these tires already have inner tubes in them now. And I can't remember if it's 2 or 3 of these tires we've put inner tubes in. But it seems like every time we go out and just ride normal trails, we end up with a flat. And that's really frustrating. So I do have to mention that. Again, Suzuki didn't make these tires, and Can-Am didn't make those tires, but they do choose to put these tires on the machines, so I guess they're partially to blame. But yeah, if you're going to be doing some pretty serious riding, if you can afford to do so, I would strongly recommend that you upgrade the tires immediately, because thankfully we haven't been stranded far from home yet, but we have had several flat tires between these 2 machines, and we've purchased several inner tubes for them already. But yeah, I mean, overall, the machine is awesome. I do use the winch quite often. It's not a Suzuki factory product, but the dealership did put that on there for me before I took delivery, and I have found that I use it quite often. So I'm really happy with the Suzuki so far. one thing I'll mention though is that the service intervals can be kind of confusing in the owner's manual. And I've seen some threads on the forums where guys are talking about this. So nobody really seems to know exactly when you're supposed to be servicing these things. I don't know. But anyway, so I've already done one service on it in this first 400 miles. I just took it upon myself to go ahead and do that. But the meter, the hour meter that counts down your time to your service, I don't know if it's because of the way it's set from the factory or if the dealership did it or what, but it's still showing that I have 40 more hours to go. I've already ridden this thing like 50 or 60 hours and it's showing 40 more to go before the first service. It's never signaled for me to do service on it yet. And that can't be right, especially for the first one. The first one should come early. So I don't know what happened there, but just keep an eye on that. If you're going to buy a new Suzuki, don't trust that, meter, that oil life meter or service meter, whatever you want to call it. Don't trust that because I don't think it's very accurate, or it's just not set the way it should be. So like I said, I went ahead and just proactively did a first service on this machine anyway, which was much easier on the Suzuki than the Can-Am, because the oil filter on the Suzuki is just a spin-on filter that's right there that you can just squat down. You can see it right there. You can reach in and get it. Piece of cake, whereas this one takes a lot of cussing and a lot of time to get to. But that's basically the 500-mile update. We haven't had any mechanical problems with either machine as far as the CVTs go, the axles, the engine. The main hard parts of the machines have been good on both of them. Mostly my complaints with the Can-Am are just, the exterior stuff. So pretty good machines, both of them. Some people prefer the Can-Ams because they just seem to sound really good and sporty. And like I said, it does have better power steering on it. But if I was going to buy these machines all over again, I probably would not get the Can-Am. I may get 2 Suzukis, or I don't know, do some more shopping around. But it is what it is. That's the machine that he really wanted and he loves it. So if it makes him happy, good enough, right? And I really like the Suzuki. I just wish that I could upgrade the power steering to make it feel like power steering. But anyway, there you go, guys. If you got questions about the Suzuki King Quad 750, now that I've got some miles and some time on it, let me know. Same thing with the Can-Am. We can try to answer some questions for you. If you're a potential shopper, you're looking for one of these things, let me know if you got questions and I'll try to help you out. But that's going to pretty much do it for now. Thanks for watching. Talk to you later.